Testing 1, 2, 3. All right. I say, well, we do it. Hello, my name is Tim Black. Welcome to the Tim Black Show. Glad you all could join us tonight. I appreciate you. This is going out to my people on YouTube and Facebook. Welcome to it. All right. Hey, hope you can hear this. Just want to make sure everybody can hear it on social media who's out here listening right now at this moment. I know it is very late or very early. Almost midnight. Wow, that's a record for tardiness. Yeah, we are streaming. We're blazing a trail on the Be Tardy for the broadcast thing. But in reality, we're gonna rip the hell out of it tonight. So if that makes you feel any better about being tired tomorrow, you will have something to talk about at the water cooler that other people will not be privy to. So with that, let's go check our reception on Facebook. What up, Facebook? How y'all doing? Great to have your Facebook peoples. What's up, Julie and Judith and John? Rahul, thank you for taking the reins over there, doing moderation along with Ginger Liberty, Margarita Silver Potts. I added Carrie Williams. Please check your email. We're up to 4 on Facebook. That's great. I've also been making posts on Facebook that I knew would incite a lot of people who don't really share our ideology. They'll be forced to say something really derogatory, and then I could block them. This just went away. I hope this is still working on Facebook. Did it come back? There we go. It came back. So it's really a method to my madness. Can you hear me there, John? All right. What's up, Paula? How you doing? What's up, Leanne? Had to refresh my Facebook. What's up, Tran? I don't know what that is. All right. What's up, Terry? Good to see you, man. How you doing? What's up, Byron and Margaret, Adams, and Janine? Wolfpack's in the house. All the Johnsons are here. Thank you, Manu, Laura Moran. People have been complaining like, Tim Black, why do you have so many Trump supporters on your Facebook? Why are there so many conservatives flooding the comment section on your Facebook? It's almost unbearable. Well, one, we're making a lot of noise, Johnson. Yeah, we're making a lot of noise. We're pretty loud. This is what happens when you start getting a little bit bigger. You get momentum. Okay? People come through. And also, some people follow me because they watched the one video where I gave Joe Biden an ass whooping. Or I took down Kamala Harris. And they just thought, there's no way this person's not a Trump supporter. Because he's telling the truth about a Democrat. See, they're not used to a person being independent and talking about, the Democrats, but still not a self-hating black person that tears down black people who are dead. They're not used to that. They can't get that in their head. They're like, doesn't like Kamala, but, wants police to be destroyed. They can't get it in their head that we want cops to stop shooting unarmed black people and black people who are not causing a threat. They can't get those things in their head. So we're going to have this problem as I continue to punch them in the stomach, as I continue to pull out a nice six-pack of whoop ass and pass out bottles, or better yet, a keg of whoop ass on killer cops and things of that nature. Oh, they liked me when I was just going in on Biden, talking about his teeth or his segregationist past, but they do not like me talking about Trump or talking about how their favorite, oh God, the police, they're freaking statues. Like, I talk about that shit, they don't like that at all. So they're gonna pop their heads up. We're gonna block them if they don't leave on their own. We'll just block them, and then we'll have our little corner of the internet back to ourselves. But it's not so don't leave. We make them leave. You don't leave, they leave. They can go watch the Hodge twins and watch these two morons who know absolutely nothing about politics, but do know who comes out to see their worthless shows, though. They know that shit. They know that. So, all right, let's go to YouTube. That was a hell of an intro, wasn't it? Damn, that's an intro for the ages right there. That was pretty good. What's up, YouTube people? How y'all doing? Can you hear the show, guys? Hope you can. We're pirates. The hell? We're pirates. Brian Crosby in the house. Binions in the house. Any difference in monthly donation in YouTube and Patreon? Patreon takes a little less. But there are people who don't feel comfortable with it, and I get it. So I try to tell people, until I get my own site really functional, where I can take my own payments directly and we can use maybe some other means, I don't want to push people away from what they're comfortable with. So, yeah. But thank you, guys. I'm glad you guys can hear the show. Thank you, Rev Marie. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate my moderators here, Sound of the Times, Rev Marie. I don't know if I've seen Eli in a while. I don't know who really is on YouTube anymore. I focus on Facebook, then I forget who's on YouTube. It's crazy. Marie, Rev Marie, Warren, Mary Warren. I think I got Mary there. A couple people might need to do some expanding on YouTube too. All right, guys, you guys warmed up now. We ready for the show? All right, look, guys, please share this on social. Please share this. It's gonna be pretty hard hitting. Show tonight. It's gonna be pretty deep. Okay. That I give you. I'm late, but I'm on time. Believe that. So, share this on Twitter. I tweeted it out already. Share this on Twitter and Facebook, wherever you have friends. Unless you're embarrassed to rock with me. I hope that's not the case. You need to get better friends. Come on now, get with the Wolfpack. Also, before we get started, let me just thank everybody that's in the Wolfpack. You guys keep the show going. You're the one that funds the show. Unlike some people who belong to organizations that bankroll their careers, bankroll their voice, their platforms, who made them popular, we've done this all on our own. Everything that we've done has been user-driven, viewer-driven, everything. A lot of these other folks, they follow people that, not so much. I'm not going to name names of Stinky Purse, Change Purse Lady, or any of these people. But they have dirty money under them, okay? So they don't understand anything about how this game works. As far as the viewers who support people who are, So thank you for being a breath of fresh air and supporting truly independent media and truly independent voices that speak truth to power and can say whatever they feel is true and don't have to try to go a certain way because of paychecks. All right, let's get going, guys. I'm going to get started on the first issue here. And we got to get to this. This is so important, guys. I read this, and this is so horrible. Okay, first, let's go here. Let's go. I can't set this up any better, man. It's too horrific, okay? So, the young lady that you see, her name is Alawatan Salu. Alawatan Salu was an activist very popular activist there in Florida. She spoke out on issues of police brutality, Black Lives Matter, civil rights, rights for trans, rights for LGBTQ community, rights for black folks. She's a very vocal supporter of all these things. She also was a very young lady of 19 years old, only 19 years old. Well, she was found. She had been gone missing after a series of very cryptic tweets. And actually, they weren't cryptic at all. They weren't cryptic. After a series of tweets on Twitter that tell a tale of a woman who was in harm's way, a woman that was in an unstable situation, living arrangements, what have you, tells her story of men trying to take advantage of her, frankly. A man who she identified as a 40-something-year-old man who posed himself as to be a man of God, a man who wanted to help her, who in turn was nothing more than a deviant, who went after her for sex. We all know the story, right? Right? We are aware of these types of men that exist. So that's what he was. And then for some reason there were no more tweets. Last time anyone had heard from Oluwatan was June 6th. Well, today, in this shitty-ass place, whatever this is right here, is where they found the body of Oluwatan Salou and also another woman by the name of Vicky Sims. Vicky Sims, 75-year-old activist in her own right, who worked for the AALP, dedicated her life to helping others, helping causes, fighting causes, in Oluwatan Salou. So, God, this is a hard one, guys. This is a hard one, okay? This is a hard one. I didn't know who this woman was. I didn't know who this young lady was. I'm gonna call her a child, okay? I have a son 2 years older than her, almost 3 years older than her. I have a daughter 10 years older than her. I started early. This is a baby we're talking about. In my opinion, this is a baby, okay? And we got grown men out here. We know these degenerates, right? And they prey on women who are in vulnerable situations. And this woman was preyed upon. We're not exactly sure what happened to the extent, because there hasn't been that much information released. But what we do know, the Tallahassee Police Department has identified Oluwatoyin Salou's body and Vicky Sims. Police say the suspect in the case is a 49-year-old Aaron Glee Jr., and that he has been arrested. According to the arrest records in Orange County, Florida, he was arrested in Orlando on June 14th. So they connected him somehow to the murders. He was in custody. Salou's name was trending on social media for a week. As I stated, she was a vocal activist and had appeared on several videos of the protest here in the Florida state capitol. Actually, the bodies were found on Sunday, not today. Sunday. They don't have anything else on this, guys. Documents say that Glee, the killer, the alleged killer in this double murder, said he often helps homeless people. The probable cause affidavit from May 30th says the victim had offered Glee favors in exchange for 2 bottles of liquor, but then changed her mind. That's when Glee attacked the victim. The victim was not one of the 2 people killed in the double homicide. So they're saying what put Glee in police custody to begin with, which got him arrested to begin with, was him assaulting another person. Not these two, not Miss Salou or Miss Sims, but it's some other woman. So he is a serial abuser of women, possibly a serial killer, and he is alleged to be the killer of this young woman. And all I want to say, guys, is that we have to be more. This happens so often in America, it's ridiculous. This is what women are up against. And we need to think about this as all of us need to think about helping those people who are most vulnerable. This is what happens when you don't have the economics. Okay? This is what happens when you can't afford your own place. This is what happens when you can't live safely indoors because we have an economy that's parasitic. We don't have the social infrastructure in place to take care of our citizens, particularly our most vulnerable people. And then we leave them to the whims out amongst the predators, and then they end up dead. Now, I don't know exactly what happened to Miss Sims, 75-year-old woman. I can't imagine why, I don't need to make, I can't tell you why you take the life of another human being. What feasible reason for doing so? All I know is this is why we fight for change. There are people who don't understand it at all. They're just so happy kissing the feet of the establishment. They're doing it with the police. They do it with Trump. They do it with the Democratic establishment. There's always these people who like to hear nice words and buy into ideology. But then on the ground, people are catching hell. Miss Toyin was 19 years old. She was an activist. She was just a young woman trying to make her way in the world. She is no longer alive. Do you understand? This is what we're trying to fight against. If we cannot take this movement, whatever you want to call it, string together some hope and some real change on the ground for people like Miss Salou, what do we have? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? So, open your door, open your wallet, open your heart, open your fucking mind. Right now, we need to band together on these issues, and we need to. I don't even know what to say. What we need to do about a situation like this. We need to get involved. I don't know what else to tell you, Wolfpack. We need to get involved, and we need to definitely call out the BS that we see. I'm at a loss of words. This is so horrific. My condolences to the family and friends of the people that knew Miss Salou and Miss Sims, and no one is more devastated than the progressive community, the activist community, and this is two women at vastly different times in their lives, both murdered, apparently by the same piece of shit. So, there you go. All right. Okay. Let's try to push through. Let's go to scene 2. Okay. Gosh. You know what? I gotta set it up. I can't just do that. I'm almost tempted to take a break, but maybe this little bit of, this ire is good for us. It's good for us. It's good for us to be real and in the moment and living in it, being about it, not censoring ourselves. Okay? I spent a lot of time in my life censoring myself. I had a job like everybody else. This is a time of unbridled realness. So, gosh, everyone knows about Rayshard Brooks, right? Everyone's aware of the man who fell asleep in his car, who had too much to drink. We're all aware of it. Here goes a short clip for those who are unaware of Rayshard Brooks and what took place over the weekend.
Friday night, 2 white Atlanta police officers are called to reports of a car blocking a drive-thru at a Wendy's restaurant. They find Brooks, a 27-year-old father of 4, seemingly asleep. This is police body camera video of the incident that for 20 minutes seems normal.
Hey, Mr. Brooks.
Officers suspect Brooks has been drinking. As a solution, Brooks offers to leave his car behind and walk to his sister's home.
I can just go home. I have my daughters there right now. My daughter's birthday was yesterday.
Hold on, Mr. Brooks. Will you take a preliminary breath test for me? It's yes or no.
I don't want to refuse anything.
It's yes or no. It's completely up to you.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Brooks fails the test, and as police attempt to arrest him, a struggle begins. Brooks manages to get a hold of one of the officers' tasers and runs. What happens next is seen via surveillance video. Officer Garrett Rolfe gives chase, transfers his taser to his left hand, and reaches for his gun. Brooks turns back towards the officer, pointing the taser, firing it. Officer Rolfe drops his taser, draws his gun, and fires 3 shots. An autopsy report reveals Brooks is shot 2 times in the back and rules his death a homicide. In an interview with CNN, Tamika Miller said their daughter will always associate her birthday with her father's death.
And she'll forever remember this birthday as the day that my daddy was killed, the day that my daddy was murdered. Not just the day that my daddy died or passed away, because he didn't just die of natural causes or pass away. This is the day that he was murdered.
Protesters took to the streets. Saturday, they blocked the main highway through downtown, shutting off traffic. Police in riot gear moved in to make arrests. Then at the Wendy's, where the shooting occurred, demonstrators began breaking windows. Fires broke out on the property before someone torched the inside. Police are searching for a suspect. Speaking on CNN,
Okay. Rayshard Brooks is dead, and we see what happened in this case. We see the police officer felt it was necessary to use deadly force. What I enjoy about dealing with this matter, and as disturbing as it is, I hope this gives us an opportunity for some clarity. I would like us now to have a little bit of clarity, because, see, the George Floyd murder was very cut and dry. I mean, it was one of the worst things you could ever see in life. One of the worst interactions with police that I've ever seen, and I've been covering this almost a decade. George Floyd made it pretty clear. I mean, only the most heinous of bigots, the most diseased of mind people, thought that George Floyd's murder was justified. Even the harshest critics of Black Lives Matter, the harshest critics of there's a problem with our police, had to admit that, yeah, maybe they didn't need to put their knee on his neck for 9 minutes. Or as Dave Chappelle said, a full 8 minutes and 46 seconds. So, yeah, the George Floyd situation was pretty easy to come up on. But still they started rearing their heads when they worried more about the damage of local businesses than they cared about the fact that George Floyd was dead and would never go home to his family. And he had been murdered by 4 officers, one outright, 3 complicit, and also acting in concert with the other officer. They all committed murder. But the thing about Rayshard Brooks that I think, for lack of a better way to put it, gives us an opportunity. It gives us an opportunity to see who our real friends are. It gives us an opportunity to define really who our allies are and who are the people that are really supportive. Because, see, it's easier with George Floyd. To care about Rayshard Brooks is to care about yourself. It's to see yourself in the shoes of Rayshard Brooks. See, Rayshard Brooks, what he did was a little different. He was inebriated, drunk, He wasn't in his right mind. He acted in a way that maybe he wouldn't have acted if he was sober. The officer knew that the man was not sober because he tested him. And he knew, hey, this man's not really in control of his faculties. This guy is still drunk. But nothing that Rayshard Brooks said to that officer penetrated that officer's bias towards us, black men, in this case. Maybe he would have done the same thing if it was a white guy. But it wasn't a white guy, it was a black guy. So what I say about this story in this situation is it gets to show us exactly what our friends are, who they are, and what their intentions are. And how much they really give a shit about police reform. See, a lot of people, and a whole lot of people, are making excuses why an officer had to use deadly force against a guy with a taser running the other way, whose car you had in possession of. You had already patted him down. You knew all he had was a taser. Why come there couldn't have been Benny Hill music playing behind this? And it just been like, oh, look at the dumb guy run from the cops. Just meet him at home. Yeah, you could do that. You could look at it that way. But to look at Rayshard Brooks as just a guy who's drunk, who's acting stupid, would mean you'd have to look at him like a human being. You'd have to give a shit about the fact he said he just attended a funeral. You'd have to give a shit about the fact he said he has his kids waiting at home. You'd have to pretend to have humanity when he said, hey, man, I'll leave the car here. I know I had too much drink. I'll leave the car here. I'll walk home. You could pretend that his life was valuable and not use the most lethal force available to you at the time. Yeah, maybe you would have chased him a little further, or maybe you just would have said, to hell with it. We've got his license. We've got his ID. We know he's not wanted for murder. He's got a taser. He's going to, hopefully he won't get hit by a car running home because he's drunk. Maybe we don't need to shoot in this crowded parking lot at a man who's done nothing but grab a stun gun while drunk. But see, now the heads of these racists start appearing now. The bigots are popping up, and they're making it very clear. They don't see value in all of us. None. All the arguments that ensued online this weekend over Rayshard Brooks. Oh, he should have just did this. He should have just did that. Okay, but what happens when he doesn't do exactly what he should do? Should he die? Would you want your son to die because he didn't do exactly what you would like him to do at that time? And the fact that he's incapacitated, too drunk to drive, to the point where he fell asleep in the car, isn't that show that maybe he wasn't in his clear state of mind? Have you ever had too many drinks yourself, ever, in life? Have you ever done anything that you shouldn't have done? Have you ever done anything stupid? Ever? I bet you like the fact that maybe somebody didn't do the most worst thing they could possibly do to you at that moment. Everyone has moments that they're ashamed of. Rayshard Brooks didn't get to live past his. And you find that okay. Now, for those people who are so butthurt, they love company so much that they want to now defend Wendy's. Look, I'm not saying that Wendy's should have been burnt down, but you have to understand the mindset of the people who did it. Now, not everybody, but some people were very upset because they felt, don't call the police for anything, let alone a man having a nap. He's really no threat. Yes, it's inconvenient to go around him, but you have to realize what police do to us when they come. They don't see us as human beings. They want to just lock us up. And in light of what we just saw with George Floyd with cuffs on him, it's possible, it's within the realm of reason that Rayshard Brooks didn't feel comfortable being handcuffed. So the people who reacted badly or reacted the way they reacted to Wendy's were taking out their anger on Wendy's because they felt if Wendy's hadn't called the police, maybe Rayshard Brooks would be alive today. You may not agree with it. You may find it over the top because you have so much Wendy's stock. All of a sudden, you now care about the Wendy's establishment. But you don't care about the little girl whose birthday is on the same day her father was killed by police. That part's fine with you. But you're now all of a sudden concerned because a black person may have owned that franchise, Johnson. Oh, no. Oh, no, a poor black business person's store was torched. But you don't care about the black family that's distraught, depressed, destroyed, dismantled, unearthed over the killing of their son, brother, husband, nephew, cousin. That part's fine with you. But that Wendy's store, oh, God. Oh, Wendy's. I haven't felt this man since they burnt the Target. Just admit that any excuse that you can find, you will pull out that will give you a deflect and distract away from Black death. Got to find a way to make the Black death the fault of the black person. Can never be the fault of the state. Hey, man, that's why I say Rayshard Brooks gives you a perfect example, a very clear picture of what America really is, who these people really are, and how we really see black men in America. It's not a pretty sight, but in order to deal with it, we had to look at it. So for all the people who have been out in the streets all this time, for all you protesters, don't let up. Don't give in. Yeah, I saw some of you dancing with cops. I saw some of you doing selfies or ice bucket challenges. I don't know what the hell you were doing. I saw it kumbayaing because you want to believe. You want to believe that this thing is going to be easy and quick. And people are going to go, oh, God, man, I never thought of it. Maybe we should stop shooting black people. And maybe we shouldn't put our knees on their back for 9 minutes and kill them. And maybe we should stop other officers that are doing that. And maybe we shouldn't put our knees on their spine and on their hips. And maybe somebody shouldn't guard it to make sure no one can see it. Yeah, I would wish that too if I were you. But reality is that ain't life, man. So take this moment for what it is and accept it for what it is. This is the reality. Stay out in the streets as long as you can, protest as loud as you can, and I can give a damn about these people saying property and convenience or whatever the hell they're saying. This is just an excuse for them not to say the obvious. Black Lives Matter. No one said the organization is perfect. But at this point, Black Lives Matter is not about an organization. You dumbass, you moron, you fake-ass humanitarian. It's about an understanding that for 400 years, black lives haven't mattered. Not really. Not as much as white lives. So that's what this is about. To the family of Rayshard Brooks, our deepest condolences. That is feel like such a trite bullshit thing to say. I really don't know what else to say except I hope you get justice, but as you stated, there is no justice. We can't bring back Rayshard. He should be home. He should probably have a court case coming up like any other normal person. But he didn't have, an officer that felt that was a, part of the deal. No, he need to get the numbers up. And yes, he can't overlook. He can't let it slide. This guy used the deadliest force imaginable because, well, he's angry. There are people saying that the cop was afraid. He was afraid for his life. God, if you're afraid for your life over a taser, maybe you shouldn't carry him. Maybe you should stop using them on protesters if they are electrocution devices. Oh, the shit I had to hear today, guys. You have no idea. So back to the Brookses. I'm so sorry for your loss. No justice, no peace. It shouldn't have happened. All right, we're going to take a brief break. We'll come back. No perfect words for this. Father of four. That's it.
A powerful new movement is rising across America. We are the 140 million poor and low-wealth people in this country, and we are building the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival.
On June 20th, we will rise together for the Mass Poor People's Assembly and Moral March on Washington, a digital justice gathering.
Our nation is at a historic crossroads.
But history teaches us that people from all walks of life must build a broad and deep movement from the bottom up.
On June 20th, we will come together to lift the voices and faces of poverty in the midst of pandemic for a massive, historic online gathering that will embolden us, strengthen us, and prepare us to fight for the kind of society we know we so badly need and deserve.
Rise with us. Visit June2020.org.
My guest today, Dr. Cornel West. Thank you, Mr. West, for being here.
My brother, I'm just so blessed to be in conversation with you. I want to salute you. You are a force for good in a mighty way, my brother. You remind me of William Monroe Trotter, that great black radical, cutting against the grain, telling the truth, seeking justice, willing to get in trouble, be in the middle of controversy, but always grounded in quest for truth and justice, man. So I salute you, man.
Thank you, Dr. West. And Dr. West was recently on a Fox News show where he got pissed off. Dr. West went to town on this dude. This guy really got under Dr. West's skin. Horrible, horrible guy on Fox with Sean Hannity's show, talking all types of crazy and disrespectful to Dr. Cornel West. And Cornel West had an out-of-body experience and went after this guy. It was, I mean, of course, they're virtual, they're not in the same place. And that's probably good for that guy because Dr. Cornel West was livid. Sean Hannity is special. That's exactly what they wanted. Put somebody up there that can piss you up is most disrespectful as humanly possible in order to make a name for themselves. They trolled Dr. West on Fox News. Some people will blame Dr. West for allowing himself to be trolled. Some would say, oh, you're acting out of character. Don't do that. It's not good, Dr. West, to lose control. But see, I understand that Dr. West is a human being. Human being with feelings. And there's just so much you can take at certain points. Of course, we all wish we could have it back when we lose control. But damn it, if you've never been the person who's been on the receiving end of troll after troll, you could listen and just believe that the person has a lot on their back, or you could always shut the fuck up. All right. Speaking of shutting up, Trump. Recently, Trump was in an interview with Harris Faulkner. Harris Faulkner has her own show on Fox News. It's impressive. Only black woman to have her own show in the morning slot on any network, any major cable network. It's amazing. And I don't spend much time listening to her. I just don't. In fact, I spend as little time as possible listening to any cable news, so to be fair. But she did interview Donald Trump, and wow, she asked some important questions. I was kind of stunned. I didn't expect this. I didn't know this was possible on Fox News. To actually be critical of Donald Trump, to actually ask questions. Well, here goes some of that interview of Trump sitting down talking about important stuff. Yeah.
And where we go from here.
You know, Mr. President, with all that's happened in the last couple of weeks, I feel like we are at one of those historical moments where future generations will look back and they'll decide who we were. Are you the president to unite all of us, given everything that's happening right now?
Well, I certainly think so, and I certainly hope so. And the relationships we have are incredible. The spirit of this country, and especially considering what happened. I mean, we had out of nowhere a plague come in from China. It just came in, and it came to all over the world. It went all over the world. You look at it, 186 countries, and they were devastated. And we were certainly hit very hard. Some were hit harder than us, relatively, but we were hit very, very hard. And now we're making our comeback. And then on top of it, we had the riots, which were unnecessary to the extent they were. If the governors and mayors would have taken a stronger action, I think the riots would have been, you could call them protesters, you could call them riots. They were different nights, different things. In Minneapolis, they went numerous nights, and then I said, you got to get the guard in there. We got the guard in there, and it all stopped. They could have done that earlier. Now you look at what's going on in, you could look at a couple of places that are in such great shape, but then you look at Seattle, look at that. What's that all about? How do they allow that to happen? That's just a bad philosophy. So I think it's incredible where we are and what we've done considering where we came from.
What the hell does that got to do with what she asked you, Donald Trump? She asked you, Donald Trump, she said, are you the person to unite us? And you listed nothing that you are doing or would do or considering doing to unite anything. Instead, you did what you always do, which is deflect. What the hell does China got to do with you uniting us? What is talks about the virus, the coronavirus, got to do with you uniting us? Oh, you want to brag that I was saving the country, so therefore, by me, blocking China, that's uniting us. Then he went on to blame the riots, protest, Trump, protest part. Then he started talking about that. What's that got to do about uniting us? Then he started saying how the National Guard should have been called out quicker. What does that have to do with uniting us? Trump, I've been saying this for a long time. That's why I'm in my own lane, guys. Trump is horrible. He can't speak well. He can't stay on topic. He is as dumb and as evasive as Joe Biden. He's not better. Please stop with he's just a symptom of a problem. No, he's got a lot of symptoms. Stupidity, bigotry, assholery. He's got a lot of symptoms, yes. He can be both a symptom of worse problems to come and also a problem in himself. He can be all things at once. Trump is all things at once because he's in power. Do you understand? This guy started talking about Seattle. It's like someone gave him a bunch of talking points. He didn't know where to use them, so he just threw them all out. Like a bag of marbles. They just throw them out. They say this shit, so I'm going to say everything in the first answer. Let me just say every talking point, a little from every talking point I was given, and hope that some stupid ass in Foxland, Fox viewers go, hey, well, yeah, I like that part. That's a good part. Okay. Well, don't worry, there's more. When Trump is asked other questions about things such as the protest. Does he understand why people are protesting? Here goes Trump.
Friday night, 2 white Atlanta police.
And where we go from here. Which we know employ north of 66% of people in America. Yeah, it was. At the same time, you had peaceful protesters, and they were hurting. And I know from your team, you watched that 8 minutes and 46 seconds of George Floyd. And Mr. President, your response to that is different than a person of color. And I'm a mom. When he called out mom on that tape, it's a heart punch. So I'm curious from you, what do you think the protesters, not the looters and the rioters, we're intelligent enough to know the difference in our country, right? What do you think they want? What do you think they need right now from you?
So I think you had protesters for different reasons, and then you had protesting also because, they just didn't know. I watched it very closely. Why are you here? And they really weren't able to say, but they were there for a reason perhaps, but a lot of them really were there because they're following the crowd. A lot of them were there because what we witnessed was a terrible thing. What we saw was a terrible thing. And we've seen it over the years. We haven't, this was one horrible example, but you've seen other terrible examples. You know that better than anybody would know it. And I know it. I've seen it too. I've seen it before I was president.
What do you say
during
to them?
the presidency, I've seen it. I think it's a shame. I think it's a disgrace, and it's got to stop. At the same time, you also know that we have incredible people in law enforcement, and we have to cherish them and take care of them. And we can't let something like this, where you have a bad apple, go out and, destroy the image of of millions of people that take really good care.
Okay. So much going on here. Trump supporters, let it go. Just let it go. Come on, there's no there. This guy doesn't know where he's coming or going. He has no compass. He's a boat without a rudder. He's a car with no steering wheel. He's a Guy driving with no GPS, no directions, no wifey to ask, hey, babe, where's the Jiffy Lube? He doesn't know what he's doing, man. She says, Trump, the George Floyd protest, people were upset, people were hurt. We know the difference. We're all grown people. We can see the difference between looters or rioters and protesters. There were some protesters. So do you know, like, what they want? Trump's response to people that were protesting, because he paid attention, is they don't know what they want. The protesters don't know what they want. They're just following the crowd. And, but he does acknowledge that what he witnessed was a terrible thing. And he acknowledges that Miss Faulkner, what she sees, and she's seen it before many times, it's a horrible thing. When we see this, I guess the thing he's talking about is police brutality. It's a horrible thing. But then he says, but we can't blame like cops, because cops are good people and they're incredible people. It's one bad apple. Trump says that he's seen it over and over again. He admits he's seen police brutality under other people because he wants to make sure you don't just blame him. Hey, it's not me, it's America. America been fucked up way before Trump came around. But then he backtracks and says, but we don't want to blame the cops. Well, if you're not going to blame the cops for police brutality, who do you blame, Trump? Ah, there you go. It's all about that base, about that base, about that base. Trump admits that he's seen this so many times, and so has Ms. Faulkner seen this so many times, but we can't blame the cops who are the people. If we can't get cops to stop committing police brutality, how do we stop it, Trump? Then he goes back to the same old tired ass, well, you don't want bad apple to make all these great, incredible cops feel bad because of one bad. If it was one bad apple, would you see it as often? You said it's been going on for a very long time. You said you've been paying attention, Trump. Which is it? Is it something that's been going on for a long time? That would mean there's a lot of apples that are bad. In fact, even in that analogy, bad apples tend to make other apples, good apples, turn bad. You want to get out of better because if the bad apples stay, it spreads. You know, like a virus. Not unlike a coronavirus. The bad apple, even if you accept that, and even if I accept that, Trump, the bad apple gotta go. And there's numerous bad apples, even according to you. Trump is horrific. He's a horrible explainer. He's right to him, and this is the race to the bottom. Biden and Trump are the race to the bottom. It's about what do you like, which do you prefer, to drink bleach or cyanide? Would you want to jump off a bridge or off of a building? Would you like to drown in a lake or drown in an ocean? Which would you prefer? Which? Attacked by a bear or attacked by a lion? What's better? But that's not it, because Trump talks more. Now he's talking about the police force, about defunding the police.
Friday night.
Right now with police reform, you've got both sides talking. You've got the third most powerful person in the House, James Clyburn, saying no to defunding police. We need reform. What are you in favor of?
That's a big step when he says no, because everyone understands that. And I don't know, is that just a phrase to break things up?
No, because he was talking about some of the things that would be in a bipartisan bill. I mean, I can't put words in his mouth. I can only tell you
No,
what
I'm
he
not
said.
talking about him. I'm saying when they talk about police, when they actually talk about beyond defunding, they actually go all out, because defunding to a lot of people means break up the police forces, and either that or don't give them any money. So
what do you
essentially
want to
they're breaking it up.
see? Like, what is policing reform to you?
I want to see really compassionate but strong law enforcement, police force, but law enforcement.
Say no
and
to
I don't want to see
chokeholds?
mistakes. Yeah, I don't like chokeholds. Now, I will say this. As somebody that, you know, you grow up and you wrestle and you fight and or you see what happens. Sometimes if you're alone and you're fighting somebody who's tough, and you get somebody in a chokehold, what are you going to do? Say, oh, and it's a real bad person, and you know that. And they do exist. I mean, we have some real bad people. You saw that during the last couple of weeks. You saw some very good people protesting. But you saw some bad people also. And you get somebody in a chokehold, and what are you going to do now? Let go and say, oh, let's start all over again. I'm not allowed to have you in a chokehold. It's a tough situation. Now, if you have two people,
or
and in the
four.
case that we're talking about,
Right.
you had four people.
Yeah.
and 2 of them, I guess, just pretty much started.
So
it's a very tricky situation. But,
that's an
so the
interesting
chokehold
point.
thing is good because off the cuff it would sound like absolutely. But if you're thinking about it, then you realize maybe there is a bad fight, and the officer gets somebody in a position that's
so
a very tough
you say it's
position.
a sliding scale depending on what the circumstances
I
are.
think you have to probably say
Do you
that.
want to be in that conversation? Are you in that conversation
I
right
really
now?
am, and I think the concept of chokehold sounds so innocent, so perfect, and then you realize if it's a one-on-one, now if it's 2-on-1, that's a little bit of a different story, depending on the toughness and strength. We're talking about toughness and strength. We are talking, there's a physical thing here also. But if a police officer is in a bad scuffle and he's got somebody
Well,
in
if it's a
chokehold,
one-on-one fight for the life,
yeah, and
that's
that
what
does
you're saying.
happen, and that does happen
But
too.
in
So you
terms
have
of-
to be careful. With that being said, it would be, I think, a very good thing that, generally speaking, it should be ended.
That's interesting.
You voted for him. That guy's speaking for you. Yeah, that's your guy. He spent 2.5 minutes saying absolutely nothing. Started off there, chokeholds are bad. I don't like chokeholds, but you got a chokehold sometimes. You got a chokehold if you got a chokehold. Like back in high school, if you were wrestling and you did, what the does that got to do with defunding the police, man? This is why I wanted to use any other term. Like, don't just like. I understand. Like, you want to do more than reform. We can't get these people to do anything. Like, we can't get them to do anything. Do you understand? We're not going to. I want the police to be compassionate but strong. I don't think we have a problem with police being strong, Johnson. I think we have a problem with police being humane, ethical, following the rules, not being corrupt, not being bigoted and racist, racial profiling. Even in places like Washington, D.C., where it's like 40% black, 80% of the routine stops are black people. It's only 40% black. It stopped black people twice as much as white people, and you say all the crime is black people. Yes, because you don't stop white people. You don't even look to see what they're doing. Everyone knows that. Go to a white neighborhood, smoke all the weed you want. Go to the inner city, smoke weed, they come at you. Trump defunding the police, changing the allocation of money to the police. They get 1/3 of the budget in some places. Some places a half of the budget of the entire state budget goes to police. Well, the chokehold is the choke. If we choke people, and if the people get choked, and then sometimes you got to choke because you might be in a fight, and if the guy's bigger than you, it's all about size. Well, what about in cases where, I don't know, there's 4 officers, and there's one guy in handcuffs? Would you agree that that's not a good chokehold? Okay, let's start there. Let's start that if you already had somebody handcuffed, you can't choke them. Because some officers don't get that. They think they can still choke you. Okay, Trumpy? I hope that this segment shames the hell out of those Trump supporters and those soft Trump supporters, those people who always want to get Trump a pass, always want to make up like Trump and support Trump. Everyone's against Trump, and the media is always at him, and he's no, he's not a great guy. He says a bunch of word salad shit. He says things, he only saying what he thinks going to help him win his base. He'll just go back and forth. Real bad people. Some of the protesters were really good people. Some of them are really bad people. Some of the Nazis were really good people, and some Nazis are really bad people. I mean, he's the most pointless. He might as well say nothing. He might as well, when she asks a question, he just been like, and sang a song. Do you remember when it was time in timber? We were chasing the night away. Then today, ha ha ha, I. Different you remember, This is September. Just sing old Earth, Wind, and Fire songs that I don't know the words to, but I really like it. Some Frankie Beverly and Mays. I mean, at least then we could all enjoy the time of listening to this guy say absolutely, fundamentally nothing. He's a big-ass waste of energy, time, and he's destroying the country. He's not doing a good job. He's not making it great again. He's making it hate again. This is what Trump is doing, and he can't answer a question. He can't talk. He's despicable. And please don't write me about Hearst Faulkner. I didn't say I liked her. I said I'm glad she asked him some questions. I don't watch her enough. I can feel it now. I feel it coming on. People, oh, she's this. I don't know. I don't watch her. I don't give a shit what she is. In this particular segment, she asked Trump questions that he probably already knew she was going to ask. He's just too stupid to even answer them in a way that's acceptable. Okay, so I'm just glad she asked the question. That's all I'm saying. Please don't write me long letters about, Tim, don't defend her. You shut up. No one's defending her. Okay? I'm glad Trump got exposed. Next story. Got anything else left here? Lord have mercy. Oh, Biden. Ugh. So with all this talk about George Floyd and protests in Seattle and Trump being incompetent, and we still have another incompetent person running for president. This time it's Joe Biden. Joe Biden, oh my God. Joe Biden does his best work when he's nowhere to do work. Joe Biden's best day at the office is when he's in his basement and he's not actually in an office. Joe Biden is a standout performer when he's asleep. That's his best performance. Not being in front of the cameras, not actually talking to people. This is when Joe Biden is at his best. But it's when we bring him out that we have a problem with Joe. When he talks, when we start looking at his record, when we start examining what he's really about, when we start really listening to what he's saying and realizing that he's not saying anything. When these things happen, that's when Joe Biden has trouble, which is often. Well, right now, they're trying to decide who's going to be the running mate for Joe Biden. Because Lord knows it's going to take a hell of a team to defeat Donald Trump with his mindless, zombie-like followers who appreciate a racist, bigoted, stupidest, copidest, jumpingest, dopiest, big tie wearing son of a block off with weird sons and a goofy wife and a stupid-ass golf fetish, gold seats and gold hair and fake toupee and I don't know. Here goes them talking about Trump's picks for VP. Oh, I'm sorry, Biden's picks for VP. I got them mixed up a little.
CBS News political correspondent Ed O'Keefe. Ed, former Vice President Biden has for 3 months said his running mate will be a woman. Now, with recent events, is Biden under more pressure now to choose a woman of color?
Well, Major, he continues to face tremendous pressure to pick a woman of color, but CBS News has learned that his team continues to vet or look into the backgrounds of several women. Senators Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, Kamala Harris, and Tammy Duckworth, a paraplegic Iraq War veteran. Governors Michelle Lujan Grisham of New Mexico and Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan. Congresswoman Val Demings of Florida. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms and former Obama National Security Advisor Susan Rice. Despite the recent headlines, Biden continues to insist he's looking for someone he'd be comfortable working with and who he believes is qualified for the job, and we're expecting an announcement by August 1st.
Ed, as you well
Hey. Hoo-yah. Wow. Yeah, a bunch of people, woo. I couldn't be more unexcited if I tried, man. Woo. There's nothing about a Biden administration that excites me. Nothing about a Biden presidency makes me want to get up and do anything. And looking at who he's looking at for VP, I'm either have no opinion or I have a strong no opinion. So I don't know. Susan Rice. Leadership is not the words I think of when I hear Susan Rice. Obama defender, maybe that's about it. I mean, I really paid no. I don't think most of America paid any attention to Susan Rice. I mean, not really. Not really. So I really don't have too much of an opinion on her. The usual suspects with the most name recognition, Amy Klobuchar, Kamala Harris. Ugh. Amy Klobuchar can't still be in the running, can she? I mean, I think she pretty much got meted out after what happened with George Floyd in Minnesota. I mean, just her tangential connection to Minnesota's legal system or penal system kind of soured her to most people with a post, and most people actually were considering her who hadn't given her a hard no already are now knowing or realizing at the very least she's not going to be bringing out much support or much energy from people on the true left. So that would knock her out of contention. And then we have Kamala Harris. You know, I don't know what it is about cops. What is it about the Democrats and cops that are just a thing? I don't know what it is. I don't get it. Why do you want a cop so bad? Why can't... So, to that point, guys, Val Demings, Representative Val Demings, I don't know anything about her, so I was like, wow, okay, so let me cover this story, but let me look into these people a little bit, and I'm just going to look into one. Val Demings. I noticed that she was on The View recently, where she had an opportunity to talk, and this was my first introduction to Val Demings. So let's take a look at Val Demings talking about possible VP slot.
Chief in the history of Orlando, as the first black woman police chief in the history of Orlando, Florida, Congresswoman Val Demings is gaining momentum as the person Joe Biden could possibly pick for his ticket as vice president. And now she joins us from Florida, and we've just been talking about all kinds of things, but want to say welcome to The View. Welcome to The View. So
thank you. It's great to be back
on a short list. Excellent. You're on the short list as possible running mate for Joe Biden. Why in the world would you want this job?
You know, that is an extremely good question. I ask myself that every day. But Whoopi, I got to tell you, sometimes you don't choose the situation. Sometimes the situation chooses you. And I do believe this is one of those moments. As you well know, I started out as a social worker right out of college, working with broken families and broken children. I then went on to join the Orlando Police Department, spent 27 years there, rose through the ranks to become the first woman chief of police. I enforced the laws, and now I'm in Congress where I write the laws. I've worked at every level of government. We find ourselves dealing with police misconduct, discrimination, and social injustices. I've dealt with those issues inside the police department and outside of the police department. I believe I have the on-the-ground experience, the credibility, and the political will and courage to get this done. Imagine having a president who was committed to these issues. We know that discrimination and racism has been the ghost in the room for over 400 years. But imagine having a president who is really committed to dealing with it. And I look forward to, I don't know what Joe Biden is going to do, whether I'm selected or not. I will continue to work with him once he's elected to make sure that we send a strong message that, look, you can be a racist if you want to. You just shouldn't be in the police department. You shouldn't be an educator. You shouldn't decide who gets housing. You shouldn't decide who gets jobs and wages. And we have a lot of work to do in this country, but I'm looking forward to being a part of that.
Okay. All right. Oh, well, that was pretty strong introduction. I don't care who you are. Pretty strong. Worked as social work. Okay. Like hearing that part. I don't know why she became an officer, okay, but she became an officer. She said she worked on every level of policing, and then she went to become a congressperson who's now making the laws in Florida. That's interesting. She says she's dealt with all these issues of police accountability, her entire career, dealing with police brutality. She has the experience and credibility. And she said, and she floats this out, she says, What if we had a president that was committed to these issues? It's almost like, oh man, what if Biden wins and then we end up with her? And then she would be president and she would actually know about these issues. She could actually make some changes. Because we know Biden's not going to make any changes. We're already pretty sure of that. But if he doesn't make it, like if he has to leave or something, then you get Val Demings, former cop, social worker, fighter for justice in there for the people. He says, she said, and I like the end, she says, you can be a racist. Yes, you're right to be racist. Hey, Trumpy, Trump supporter people, closeted liberal racist. You know who you are. A lot of those people too. You can be racist, you just shouldn't be a cop and a racist. You could be a racist, you just shouldn't be a healthcare provider and a racist. You could be a racist, but you shouldn't be someone who decides other people's bank loans, education, these things. You shouldn't be making decisions about those people of color and be racist at the same damn time. This is important. Now, that sounds like a very good speech, and I like it. I like the speech, and I also don't like it. I also hate it. You know why? Because it's effective. Oh, yeah, it's effective, Johnson. There going to be people who eat that up. They're going to like that. They're going to be like, oh, man, that sounds good, man. She sounds like she gets it. Yeah. Let's keep watching, though. Let's keep watching.
Chokeholds or neck restraints.
Congresswoman, just this past weekend in Atlanta, Rayshard Brooks died after a white police officer shot him. It prompting the resignation of the city's police chief and more protests. How did this go from a calm, rational conversation to a man now being dead? A USA Today investigation has found over the past decade, 85,000 law enforcement officers have been investigated or disciplined for misconduct. You're obviously a former police chief. What do you think needs to change?
Well, first of all, my thoughts and prayers go out to Mr. Brooks's family. And as we saw from the video this weekend, things can change in the twinkling of an eye, which requires law enforcement officers to have to make split-second decisions. But the question that law enforcement agencies have to ask themselves, and certainly the public is asking as well, was the use of deadly force the only option that the officer had? Now, we saw them rolling around. There was an all-out fight on the ground. We saw Mr. Brooks break free and run with the taser. But was the use of deadly force the only option that the officer had? And based on my 27 years of law enforcement experience, being an officer on the street, but also supervising and managing officers through the chain of command, I do not believe that the use of deadly force was the only option that this officer had. Mr. Brooks was fleeing from the situation. We know that he wasn't in possession of a firearm or anything that would cause death or great bodily harm to citizens that would threaten them in any way. We also know that the officers had already gotten his identification. They knew who he was. They knew where he lived. They were in possession of his car. They could have tracked him down or even cordoned the area that night and prevented him from fleeing the scene. But they certainly knew who he was and could have tracked him down. And so, you know, it's about police agencies looking at their training and ensuring that officers clearly understand when the use of deadly force is their only option.
All right. She's pretty good. She's pretty good. She knows how to say certain stuff. Like just this, hey, it's better than Trumpy. She said, you know, did the police need to use deadly force? Was that the only option that the police had? No, we had other options. In fact, the officer had a taser. He threw his taser to the ground and pulled out his gun for a guy with a taser. Maybe that's why she said it was excessive force, because he had a taser, he was pointing it, and then he threw it, and then he pulled out his gun and shot the man a couple times. So maybe, according to this person with 27 years experience, been a police chief, been on the streets, done the whole thing, from the top to the bottom, I'm going to rock him while I still got him. And she says, no, he didn't need to do that. And we need to do some retraining, and police need to know what deadly force, when deadly force should be applied. Shouldn't that be applied in all situations? Maybe we could have just let this guy run himself out. How far can a drunk guy run? How far really can he run? You could just walk behind him. Where's he going to go? I keep saying, where's the Benny Hill music? How many people watched Benny Hill back in the day? You know, some weird music. Why couldn't it just been like goofy music playing? Where's this guy going? He's drunk. Where's he going to run to? He's going to end up crying in a puddle. He's going to be in a puddle of his tears crying, going, God, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did this. It's so stupid. Why'd I do? That could have been the outcome. Wouldn't have been a national story. So I like this answer. This is a good answer. And I know people are thinking, oh, Tim, man, I don't know about this, Tim. Don't fall for it, Tim. Don't fall for it. Don't fall. Don't worry, there's more. Clip 3. Gotta have some faith, man.
Sure. There is a debate, Congresswoman, over what police reform should look like. And the former vice president rejected calls to defund police, basically diverting funds, saying federal aid to police should be based on meeting basic standards of decency. But police reform, which in my mind is changing protocols, implicit bias training, body cameras, the type of training that you just discussed, hasn't really stopped the disproportionate arrests, use of force, killing of black people in the community. As a potential running mate, do you think Biden's plan falls short of addressing the problem here?
No, I think the vice president is absolutely correct. And, you know, one of the things that I clearly understand, I patrolled the African-American community the entire time that I was assigned to the streets of Orlando. And so I think what many people forget is that Black communities want safe communities as well. And when you're in law enforcement, you have a direct responsibility to make sure that they are receiving the level of service from the police department to keep them safe as any other community. I know that there are many out there that are trying to make this an us versus them situation, like we have to choose between the police and social services. That is not the case. What we are saying, and I think former Chief David Brown of Dallas, Texas said it best. He said that every time there is a society failure, we call the police to handle it. Not enough mental health funding, give it to the cops. Education fails, call the cops to settle it. When do we start calling police officers when a child in the classroom would not give up their phone or won't sit down or leave the classroom? He also went on to say, if there's not enough drug addiction funding, don't worry about it, give it to the cops. We say here in Orange County that the Orange County Jail is the biggest mental health facility and the biggest drug treatment facility in the region. Police officers were never trained or designed to deal with that. They received some training. But what about as we fund the police department to make sure that every community has an appropriate level of service and police response, let's make investment into some of those social ills that cause decay in communities in the first place, like homelessness, lack of jobs, substandard housing, substandard education, healthcare. We're in the middle of a public health pandemic. So we don't have to make a choice either or here. Let's appropriately fund communities as they should be.
Aha! Gotta. See, at the end of the day, she's a cop. That's right. At the end of the day, she's a cop, and she's going to stick up for who? The cops. Yeah, you thought she was going to go and see. All you do is give them more time to talk, and eventually they will say how they really feel. Yeah, once you run out of all the talking points, all the things you know to say, black people want me to say, this was wrong, that was wrong. Oh, throw these cops at dumb Derek Chauvin, throw him to the wolves. Oh, this guy, Rayshard Brooks. Oh, people are saying this, saying that. Okay, let's go this way. But at the end of the day, when time comes down to it, you got to choose, do you want to keep giving cops all this damn money? She's like, yeah, keep giving them money and give them more money. Yeah, let's just keep giving them money. And then the kicker, guys, was she starts sounding just like the black folks who got us into trouble with the crime bill back in 94. She starts sounding like them. Black people need police. We need more police. There ain't a black person in America don't think they don't see police enough. There's not a black person in the inner city, any city that you live in, even the suburbs, who feels like we just need more police. Nobody thinks we need more police. We need different police. We need better police. We need non-racist police. We need unbiased police. We need police that's not corrupt or brutal. That's what they're thinking. They're thinking, no one's walking around going, if we just had more cops. So Val Demings has shown who she is. We knew who she was, but she started sounding right. And it's coming out of the mouth. The words are coming out of the mouth of a person who checks all the boxes. Woman. Let's face it, a lot of guys have really screwed up a lot of shit. Woman. Black. Experienced. Charismatic. Good speaker. Good talker. Now, I haven't looked at her background or anything about her background, okay? Because we always know it's always in what you did. It's not what you say. It's about what you've done. So I don't know what she's done yet. She's probably got a long record of 27 years. It's a long record to look at, okay? So I'm sure there's something there to look at. But what I'm talking about is just what she's saying here. She leaves out all the issues that we have with police. How are we going to get rid of the bad apples? How are we going to get rid of the bad orchards? See, it's people like April. It's people like, what's her name? Oh, shit, who cares? It's people like Val Demings. That's it. Val Demings, for some reason I thought April Ryan. Ugh. It's people like her that make me want to support defund the police even more. I was already a supporter of defund the police. I just didn't like the term. I don't like when they keep whacking at the name defund the police. But I do think we need to reallocate the budget, reassess and reallocate the budget. And no, we don't need to keep funding half of the state budget to police just to go out and beat our ass. We don't want to we're paying police to kill us. Miss Demings, we're paying your friends in blue to beat the shit out of us. And look, and if that's not the case, you got to stop showing it. You got to stop telling people to carry their smartphones, because their smartphones are sure getting a lot of video of police beating the shit out of protesters, don't matter what color they are, and beating the shit out of us in our own neighborhoods. So don't tell me black people need more police. Black people want more safety. Now, part of safety, one part of that would be helping the homeless people, mental health support, people with employment issues. All these things matter. But I'm yet to hear you make an argument why the hell we need to keep giving cops all this damn money when the problems are not just the cops. The problems are all the things surrounding the cops. But even if you fix all those social issues, if you still got racist, bigoted, shoot first cops, beat the hell out of your cops, sit on your neck cops, thin line of blue cops, corrupt police union cops, then you're going to still have a problem. So the problem's not solved by just giving money to your friends. And I'd like to know who helps fund your elections. Who helps you run? I got a feeling you do pretty well defending those cops. I got a feeling if I look, your prime support, your most prominent donations to your campaigns are going to be who? Ms. Demings. Who would that be? I got a feeling it would be cops. And that's hence your 30 years of affiliation and your love for the cops. So guys, this is why I keep saying, why do the Democrats keep putting us, these people, or keep holding up these people who are cops? Because they're just as bad as the Republicans in so many ways. They just say the right things. They just say the things that we want to hear because we're their base. They say the things that black people want to hear, but then they're going to go in and do the same crap. Give us little tiny breadcrumbs of some concessions, and then can proceed to give more money to their friends. Same things Republicans would do. But Republicans wouldn't even give you the little seeds, the little concessions. They would just go right ahead and give their friends the money. I don't know which one I hate worse. I don't know which one's worse for us, but I know that they both lead to the same result. The same results, what we've already been getting. So, as of right now, unless Val Demings has a sudden change of heart, unless she gets struck by lightning and becomes a new person, unless she has an out-of-body experience, I say it's a hard pass on Val Demings, and I could care less about how articulate you are, how great your service has been, or what color you are, and how you use the bathroom. That ain't what it's about at all, not for me. Okay? It's not personal. But we don't need any more fucking cops. And the black community don't need no more damn cops. What we need is some justice. Unless you want to help us do that, you're wasting our goddamn time. Peace, lady. All right. Hope that was clear for everyone. Hope people stuck around for the whole video. A lot of people don't. Oh, Tim was being nice. You got to take the ride. Go on a journey with a brother. I'm your brother. I'm not your enemy. And I'm not your sellout. All right, guys, a little update. I've ordered a new PC. That'll be here in like a week. We got some issues with the phones. They haven't been working correctly. So I ordered a new PC, but we're going to get installed a hardware analog phone system. An analog phone system is what we're going to implement. And we're running a fundraiser on GoFundMe to raise money for that, because one of the things that make this show great is the ability to have communication, the ability for anybody across the globe to call into this show and speak truth to power. That is amazing. We're going to keep that going. We want that to continue. It must continue. It's important. But we need some control over it. I can't have Tuesday nights be interrupted with the down, down, down. Sorry. I can't have that. Too many people watch this show. We got people that pay to support this show. They want a show. They want our phone show. So we're going to increase the amount of money that we're trying to raise. I think that the show, we proved our validity in the space. We've proved with our longevity that we ain't just here for today and gone tomorrow. Being here almost a decade is a long enough time to prove what we're about, who we are, what we stand for. We are a growing community. So I'm going to put in the link description below, or you can just go to my Facebook or my Twitter, and you'll see my promotion for the GoFundMe to raise money for that analog phone system that will change things big time for this show. I love you. We're going to do this. First step, PC. Next step, hardware. Hardware phone system. One that we control, not controlled by a internet company who uses virtual phone lines. Got it? Got it. All right, guys. Woo, what a show, right? Now I want to go to the comments section and see what folks are talking about. Yeah. I'm sure there's some comments I need to read out. That makes sense, folks? I hope you makes sense. Lemmy Snotty, thank you for supporting the show, man. And thank you for becoming a member of the show. Progressive Geek thank you, Progressive Geek. I appreciate you. Ty Jersey in the house. You keep it up, brother. John says, on YouTube, search for How Can We Win Black Woman, 6:46 minutes long. 1.7 million views. Powerful stuff, TB, powerful. How can we win? Okay. David Melford. Let's make a difference. Sign up for the Our Revolution event. 274048 to make calls. Get Bernie more delegates by June 23rd. What's up, David? Princess Queen, another blackface talking a bunch of nothing. We need policy to work for the people. If she has been a top officer, why hasn't she done it already? Woo! There it is. Pam Hall. Thank you, Pam Hall, for contributing to the show. All right, guys. Short night, but it's all good. I'll be putting these videos out. Watch a video, share a video. Hey, it's all good, man. Nothing but love for you. I see you soon. Until then, don't let nobody take your cornbread, and sprinkle some facts on them. All right? All right. I'll see you soon. Tim Black Show is streamed live on the internet live audience, in front of an internet live audience, on the internet live. Also, pick up a Juneteenth shirt at the Tim Black Gear Shop. You can find that by searching Tim Black Gear Shop, or you can find it in my YouTube description. You can also go to timblacktv.com and click on the link and find it there, celebrating the emancipation, the true emancipation. Black people got their freedom. Juneteenth. I love y'all. Peace, Wolfpack.